Now that's a wave of destruction that's easy on the eye.
History will remember Afghanistan as the graveyard of empires. George Galloway, former British MP and host of the mother of all talk shows, is quoted saying, "If Alexander the Great failed to conquer Afghanistan, then so surely would Donald Trump." Most Americans and Oklahomans know next to nothing about this beautiful, mountainous, and now once again Islamic nation state. Remember, those who are ignorant of history are doomed to repeat it. Today at hashtag OTU Media, the Bunker Crew breaks down the Afghan debacle. Let's learn about it together and hashtag let the people decide.
Afghanistan, where is it?
Why are we there?
Who else is in Afghanistan?
How long have we been there?
Where is Afghanistan? Like most Americans, you might be under the impression that Afghanistan is in the Middle East, due to the United States War on Terror since 2001. Afghanistan is actually in southern Asia, sharing borders with not only Iran and China, but Pakistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. The high Hindu Kush mountains stretch along Afghanistan's eastern border and cover much of the country. An artificial creation of the British, Afghanistan's borders are little more than lines on a map to its various ethnic groups and decentralized tribes. In all, what is known to the West as Afghanistan covers 252,000 square miles. For some perspective, let's take a look at a scaled comparison between Afghanistan and Oklahoma. Oklahoma, in all, covers 69,899 square miles. So, Afghanistan is only approximately 3.5 times the size of our state.
Pay attention and stay tuned as hashtag OTU Media answers all of the questions that Americans are asking about Afghanistan.
Over the last 50 years, Afghanistan has seen boots on the ground from almost every modern military on the planet. The Soviet Union, the British, American, French, Australian, German, Italian, Polish, and soldiers from around 20 other NATO countries have spent the last half-century fighting and dying in Afghanistan. Almost all of the European countries operating in Afghanistan finished complete withdrawals in early 2021. The Taliban have established a perimeter around the airport in Kabul, separating almost 15,000 Americans and 5,000 other foreign nationals from their only hope from escape from Afghanistan. The United States State Department is insisting that their people need to make it to the airport for assistance from the military, but emphasized that they cannot guarantee safe passage. France and the United Kingdom are currently deploying their remaining special operations units to extract the stranded citizens from Kabul city to the airport. The Taliban operate as a part of the global transnational Islamic terror network. They are affiliated with Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, ISIS, and other Wahhabi extremist elements of Sharia Islam. Vast swaths of open, often isolated or highly contested territory in Afghanistan make perfect breeding grounds for international criminal and other terror organizations.
The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan began in 1979 when communist forces sought to cauterize an Afghan revolution by installing a Soviet regime. This attempted occupation by the USSR lasted 9 years, with the last Soviet troop withdrawing January 15th of 1989. During this time, moderate Afghan rebels known as Mujahedin were trained and equipped by U.S. intelligence services such as the CIA to harass their Soviet occupiers. Before American and the Russians, the British failed miserably in 3 separate Afghan campaigns. The USA is now seemingly on course to join the USSR and others in the graveyard of empires, Afghanistan.
The United States originally invaded Afghanistan in 2001 following al-Qaeda terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., using 3 commercial airliners. A 4th was also hijacked but did not reach its intended target thanks to the bravery of the passengers on board. 3,000 people lost their lives that day on September 11th, 2001, known as the worst terror attack in American history.
Although the terrorist group al-Qaeda is based in Afghanistan, none of the 20 terrorists who had perpetrated the 9/11 attacks were from Afghanistan. Intelligence suggests 2 of the attackers may have gone through Afghanistan on their way to the United States. Claiming authority granted under the War Powers Act and supported by joint resolutions, President George W. Bush declared a global war on terror. He threatened to occupy Afghanistan and dismantle the Taliban's network unless al-Qaeda was exiled and bin Laden handed over to American troops. The Taliban refused and American bombers began hitting al-Qaeda and Taliban targets in Afghanistan on October 7, 2001. Operation Enduring Freedom had begun. Ground troops would follow 12 days later and have been there 20 years since.
Why are we leaving now?
The question we're facing today is, should we leave Afghanistan?
A better question would be, why have we stayed so long?
Of course we should, as soon as we can.
America has been in Afghanistan for decades under the pretense of a global war on terror.
If we don't, we'll be there for another decade, would be my prediction.
Taliban leaders provide comfort and shelter for al-Qaeda terrorists. As part of the Islamic Terror Network, TITN, the Taliban serve as a dependable safe haven, as well as recruit and provide training for several international terror organizations. While many people know these pretexts for NATO extended presence in Afghanistan to be mostly political, few understand the real reason so much American blood and treasure has been spent there. The TAPI, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Indian pipeline, as part of their ongoing trade war with the U.S. and in a bid to undercut India's reliance on other regional energy exporters, Iran struck a deal to pump oil and natural gas to India. Together, alongside several U.S. taxpayer-funded nuclear reactors, the TAPI pipeline allowed U.S. officials to match Tehran's offer and prevent the construction of an Islamic pipeline from Iran through Pakistan to India. Opium. Afghan exports account for 80 to 90% of the world's illicit opium supply. The U.S. military and private Western contractors have regularly been tasked with protecting these opium operations under the guise of fighting international terror. Bagram Air Base. 1 hour north of Kabul, Bagram Air Base may be the biggest tactical concession made by the U.S. in their withdrawal from Afghanistan. Originally established by the Soviet Army in the 1950s, the new abandoned billion-dollar base was an impregnable fortress just 400 miles from China to its east and 500 miles from Iran to its west. 2 of America's most powerful adversaries.
Now that's a wave of destruction that's easy on the eye.